She supports health, well-being, and healing. And let us hear from her about her story, her journey, and please introduce yourself and let's continue.
All right. First of all, thank you so much for having me here.
It's
Yes,
sure.
I'm born and raised in yeah, I'm born and raised in the Bay Area. The Bay Area is one of the most politically radical and just creative place in the world. Everybody here is an artist, everybody here is an activist, and that showed me that you can be both at the same time, and
Right.
that in fact you should be both at the same time.
Mm.
So really what that did for me was it allowed me to create an imagination beyond the realms of like racism, capitalism, sexism. As a child, I definitely used my imagination and my relationship with books and storytelling
Right.
to escape the the oppression that I was facing and that my community was facing. And I just love sci-fi. I love creative writing. I've always been a writer ever since I knew how to write. I've been journaling.
Right.
And yeah, I've explored poetry. I'm a yoga teacher, but yeah, writing is definitely my purpose.
And tell us something about your residency that you are currently enjoying and how is it helping you and how are you dealing with it and what is different now
Mm.
earlier.
Okay, that's a really great question. So this year, I did have the honor of experiencing my first writing residency. Shout
Huh?
out to the Hudson Valley Writers Residency in upstate New York, and shout out to Bjorn, who is the facilitator and CEO of that residency. When I started to really realize that I wanted to become a writer full time, the
Mhm.
first thing that I did was apply for opportunities with travel, and I was lucky enough to receive a residency. It was last month that I went out there. I went out there for my 28th birthday, and I was out there for about a week. And I think one of the key things that really, really stayed with me through that experience was just the opportunity to have no distractions at all.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't have to wake up and go to work.
Mm.
I didn't have to wake up and take care of somebody else or, you know, family responsibilities or community responsibilities. All I had to do was stay hydrated and eat and experience new things and have conversations with people and write as much as I pleased. And honestly, that was such a rewarding experience. I think that every person who has a creative mind and creative ideas deserves to have time to just be leisurely,
I'm
just
coming
to
there.
rest, to relax, you know, to let the thoughts and the concepts rise up in your own awareness in their own time. And I loved that even though I was on a deadline at that time,
Mm.
there were so many moments where I didn't feel the need to rush.
Right.
And what I've noticed for me with my creativity is that the moment that you feel the urge to rush yourself while you're creating something, that's the exact moment that you need to slow down and pay
Ex-
attention to the details. So
True.
that was one of the biggest lessons I gained there.
Slowing down sometimes accelerates your growth that I have seen personally. And how did you manage with cooking
Mhm.
and cleaning with residency there? Do you have to go shopping?
Oh yeah, so it was basically
You have to go
uh-huh. It
get
was basically
stuff.
in the
Tell me.
huge
Yeah, please.
yeah, the residency was in this huge house,
Mhm.
and there was about 5 or 6 other authors there, so we all shared a kitchen.
Wow.
It was actually my first residency was in this really tiny town, and
Oh.
I thought I came from a small area with the Bay Area being pretty small, but
Mm.
the thing is the Bay Area is small, but there's thousands of people that live here,
Yes.
whereas the upstate New York town I was in, it was called Coxsackie,
Mhm.
there was like 100 people in town. There
Ah,
was one road with all of the buildings and like I was like just a few steps away from everything
ah,
that I could have needed. I did go to the the local general store the first day, but
Mm,
then I also drove 15 minutes to the grocery store the next day just to pick up some other things. And yeah, I was mostly doing some cooking. I did eat out a couple of nights when we went out to like an art gallery or like to a dinner,
mm.
but I was mostly cooking. I'm a big breakfast person, and another thing that really helped me at the residency too was having like 5 different snacks while I was writing so that I can kind of absent-mindedly like do something with my hands when I need a break.
That's wonderful. So, how far is your book
Mhm.
journey going, and when is it coming out, and when is the book launch?
Yes. So the first draft of my book is what I finished during my writing residency in early March.
Okay.
And the second draft of my book, hopefully the final draft that I'll be sending to my publisher, will be happening in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the goal right now is for it to be published around springtime in 2027.
Wow.
But again, I'm not trying to rush it. I want it to be amazing. I want it to be perfect. And this publishing deal that I have with Bootstrap Publications, shout out Miriam and Rita and the whole team at Bootstrap Publications. It's like a trilogy. So it's going to be 3 books. So really, even when I finish this book, is just the beginning.
All right, that's good. And how did you get in
Mhm.
a publisher that suited you?
Yeah, I know that this is normally a very challenging and difficult process for authors, but by the grace and the recommendation of my mentor, Dr. Nicholas Bayham III, I
Mm,
was able to make a connection with Bootstrap Publications. He was very, very supportive of my writing from the moment that we met, and he's a professor at California State University, East Bay.
mm,
And so the CEO of Bootstrap Publications was once his student in college. And she also published his books, The People's Detective.
right.
And yeah, he basically introduced me to her.
Mm,
And I sent in what I had then of my manuscript for their reading. And then they reached back out to me a few weeks later with the offer. So that's kind of what happened for me. The first time that I wrote a book, it was a book of poetry, and I self-published that book. And honestly, that was way, way, way more difficult for me personally. I think because I'm a perfectionist and I was doing a lot of things for the first time.
mm.
Like I didn't know anything about an ISBN number or anything like that. So
I think I think
luckily
you're
this time
getting the
around.
journey. This journey is what actually makes us a writer, like Zoom.
Yes.
As you can see my screen behind, I don't know, I clicked on something and now I cannot get it
Uh-huh.
on. Okay, I've been trying and
You can't change
like,
it.
yeah, I can't change it. I, in fact,
Oh
uninstalled and
no.
reinstall. I've tried everything. So, like
Yeah.
go through these kind of
Wow.
things, and every day there is some change happening digitally. And today I
Exactly.
test, as you said, the ISBN. I was also sitting and learning about it. So, I have one question about
Oh yeah.
ISBN. Is it for just you, or is
Mhm.
it for the book? Is it for every book has a different ISBN? Is that how?
Yeah, every book will have a different ISBN.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And what you said really resonates with me. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from David Mura. He
Mm.
said, "We start writing to become the person who can finish the book."
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
That's really what I go through. I finished my
Yeah.
first draft, and I sit and edit and
Okay.
edit and edit. Sometimes it goes down, and sometimes the words are increasing. So that art is always, it's in progress. It never gets
Yeah.
completed. So we go through, and especially
Right.
when it is your work, you become very possessive of it. You don't want to let it
Hmm.
finish at all. So
That's right.
handling the trilogy, how do you divide your subject matter and decide, okay, this is what I'm going to present in the first one, second one, and third one? How do you?
Yeah. So
Yes.
I love the number 3. And
Mm,
I love the rule of 3 in writing. So I wanted to implement that rule of 3 into the structure of my trilogy.
mm,
I my book follows a family of Black women
Mm.
through a version of future Earth with a world with a purple sky and like irreversible climate change and things like that. So I decided that for my first book, I'll start with my main character. And then for my second book, I'm going to switch the perspective to her sister. And her sister will become the main character. And
Okay.
then for the final book, I'll switch the perspective to their mother, and the mother will become the main character. So, what I wanted to do for each chapter in this trilogy was to explore the experiences of the entire family
That's
by the end.
that's wonderful. I find African writers have a very deep and strong voice, and the stories are very moving. I have read some stories on
Mhm.
Rwanda and lot of about genocide. Like, and how
Mhm.
women go through genital mutilation, which we don't talk about. So these are the things
Yeah,
which Africa really, grips me and keeps me. I mean, I understand that women are very strong, but still
yeah.
oppressed. Or do you think that it is opening up for them?
Mhm.
Are they still oppressed, or
Yeah.
is it opening up?
Oh no, we're definitely still going through it. And I think although we are one of the freest generations of women, right? Like so many countries have fought for women to be allowed to vote, for women to be allowed to work, for women to be allowed to just be themselves and not need to be married to have or be a mom to have rights.
Right.
There's still so much more work that needs to be done. And I believe the work that really needs to be done is a shift in the foundation and the fundamentals of our global society.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I do believe that patriarchy is one of the biggest reasons for climate change, for war, for genocide. And I know that a matriarchal world is now needed in order to protect women, children, and nature.
I,
And if we are unable to make that shift,
I was
we're
coming
all going to
because
experience the
this is what
consequences.
I admire about the African society, where it used to be matriarchal kind of
Hmm.
society, which like in India,
Yeah.
two states still follow that. Two states have that,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
is I'll tell you one thing: these two states have really advanced because,
Wow.
yeah, when a woman is completely handling the ecosystem, she becomes nature herself, and nature cannot destroy
Wow.
itself. That is where we get this
Yes.
whole thing is happening. And as you rightly said,
Mm.
when we leave it to men to decide, we'll only have more wars and absolute
Mhm.
chaos, that what is happening right now in the world today.
Yeah,
So, and tell me
exactly.
something about African roots and tribes. I mean, like, it's a very interesting topic. I've always been fascinated by Africa. Which part of Africa do you come from?
Thank you for that question. I too have always been fascinated by Africa. Although both of my lineages did come to America through enslavement,
Mm,
and both sides of my family came to California from Louisiana.
mm.
My mom did do a DNA test that said that we are definitely West African. We are specifically Igbo, Nigerian, and Akan from Ghana. But even years before my mom did that, I actually traveled to the University of Ghana in West Africa for a school year when I was in college. And when I was there, I saw so many people that looked like my dad, and I saw so many people that looked like my mom. And I knew when I was there that I was from there. So it wasn't like I didn't already know I was West African, but it was cool to be able to see some of the tribes.
There are a lot of Indians in Ghana. I think you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
same way that you all went to California, Indians went to build the railways and stuff like that, and they stayed back. And
Yeah.
they, some of them have never visited India. They've never visited.
Mm.
So they consider themselves as the original people of the land. And they are doing
Mm.
excellent business there, and they have a huge community which thrives, and they've spread out all over Africa. And Ghana is really booming right now, and there are a lot of industrialization happening, and it's one of the African nations which is really climbing up the ladder of development that we are seeing today. And tell me something about your personal
Yeah.
passions apart from what we discussed as your purpose. Do you have any other passions apart
Oh, well, I
from
would.
writing? And of course, your yoga journey is there.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to talk about yoga. I think that yoga has it's been my salvation
Mm,
in many ways. It started out as something that I would do to set a spiritual boundary because
mm,
growing up, I lived in a big family house in my grandma's house with
mm,
my aunties, my cousins, a lot of family members. And I noticed that I didn't have much personal space. So I would use my yoga mat as my personal space. And most times, whenever I'd be practicing, they'd know to leave me alone. And when I became certified as a yoga teacher about 6 years ago, I
mm,
realized that yoga had been helping me to navigate my emotions, to locate where they live in my body,
mm.
and to allow them to teach me and to help me become even more myself, more authentic, more organic, and just more whole. And so I wanted to offer that to my community as well. I feel like emotional regulation and, you
Yes,
know, really listening to your body is not something that they teach in school, but it's something that everybody should know how to do. So that's really my purpose as a yoga teacher. I want people to be able to relax, to know when their nervous system is dysregulated and to know how to reset their nervous system.
yes,
But along the way, as I've been learning more and more and reading, Buddhist and Hindu literature and practicing with cultures of and teachers of all cultural backgrounds, I've learned that yoga is truly a radical practice that is all about uniting our consciousness and easing each other's suffering through compassion. And it's really a way of life that I know will take my entire lifetime to achieve. So it's definitely something that I love.
that's
I
interesting.
love it so
I've never
much.
heard
You
anyone.
practice?
I've never heard anyone give such a beautiful definition for yoga, coming from the land of yoga myself. You have
Wow.
really summed it up very beautifully. And I believe when you talk to yourselves are listening and they can heal. And that is how your body can reset
Absolutely.
and reframe and rejuvenate if you constantly keep talking
Hmm.
to your organs and your cells. And that's what my book is about, actually. And it is very,
Really?
yeah, it is very important, because you see, I'm talking to you, you're talking to me, but
Yeah.
we never take time off to talk to ourselves. We never take time
Right.
off to thank, my limbs or my eyes, my
Hmm.
ears who are doing work. And so, like what I do
Yeah.
is, before I go to bed, before I go to sleep, actually, I literally thank all the body parts, and I do the root meditation,
Mm.
and then I just knock off, because I've been teaching meditation for over 20 years now. And that is a habit now, more than a practice. It is
Mm.
like part of me. I wake up, I do the meditation, and then get out of bed. So it really,
That's beautiful.
that is the moment when you have to thank your breath, you have to thank your sleep, you thank your hair, you thank your ears, and we don't do that. We are constantly running on the fast lane that we really forget what is so integral to us. And you beautifully summed it up
Yeah.
very nicely, really. And
Yes.
what else do you do, and what are your interests other than yoga and writing?
Well, first of all, that practice of thanking your body, I'm definitely going to have to try that tomorrow morning. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, that's
I do.
you can see the glow on my face. You wouldn't have seen this a couple of years, if you had come on the same show a couple of years
Mm,
back. You wouldn't have seen
mhm,
this. It comes not because of
mm,
anything, except that I am constantly thanking. The gratitude goes inside, and it's speaking to every cell, and every cell is communicating with
yeah.
all the other cells, and that is how healing happens. healing has to go inside. It is going to
Mm,
happen outside of you, right?
yeah.
So that's
Absolutely.
that's how.
I completely agree. I think that's how healing happens. I think that's how transformation happens. I think that's how revolution happens. It's all an internal process that creates a frequency at which we radiate and help other people to align. So I really love that. Besides writing and yoga, I love reading. I love nature. I love travel. I love my community, honestly, and I do love being an active member in my community. Again, going back to like the revolution starting within, I think just as much as I want to change the world, I know that I have to start where I'm at. So honestly, like my average day looks a little bit like some creative expression, some barefoot, time on the grass, checking in with the people that I care about, and really I like to try to imagine my habits and my hobbies as kind of planting seeds for the future.
Mm.
We might bear the fruit right away. We might not even be the ones to eat the fruit, but
Yes,
maybe my children or their children will
true.
benefit from, me volunteering here for a couple hours, or me choosing to read instead of, sit in traffic somewhere, or, different things like that.
That's true. If my mother would tell me always, whatever you find, and when you leave it in a better shape than how you originally found it. And the earth was a
Right.
paradise. And I think the little things that
Mm,
we do can replace or rejuvenate or at least give back what the others are destroying. We cannot stop that, but we
mm,
can, on the surface,
right.
on the parallel side, create better things for the future. I mean, we are only custodians of this planet. We don't
Yeah.
own it, and it definitely is going to be passed on to someone else. And any closing last
Hmm.
words? It was really wonderful because I like your thought process. It's the clarity is there, and you're pretty calm when you're talking. So like your mind is got that slides very neatly organized. That is nice. I think
Thank you.
yoga is giving you that benefit. And
Absolutely.
any last closing words that we can have from you?
I would like to thank my ancestors. I
Yes,
would like to thank my ancestors for being with me every step of every way and for
wonderful.
providing me with beautiful creativity. And I'd like to thank you. I really have
Welcome.
enjoyed getting to know you and
Yes.
talking to you. And I'm really excited to have you on my podcast next. And
Tell me about it.
I am,
It is on. It is
oh,
it's
yeah,
not an audio one. How is it?
yeah. It's gonna start soon. I'm gonna basically be having conversations with other creative writers, and really the series is gonna be called Page Planets.
Hmm.
And I really want to explore how every book that
Hmm.
someone writes is a whole world, a whole planet in and of itself, and what it means to actually build something like that from the ground up, and how to transform these concepts and these ideas we have in our head and actually bring them onto the page, and what that feels and looks and sounds and smells like. So I'm really excited to hear more about your book on Page Planets in the future. And
Sure, sure.
yeah,
Anytime.
thank you for the opportunity.
No, just I've been waiting for this, as you know. I was waiting for you to finish your residency so that
Mhm.
we have more inputs about it. And because
Yeah.
people are looking for that creative space, to cut off from that
Yeah.
all the chaos and be in the serenity. To the tranquility gives you not only mental peace, but new ideas are born when
Mm.
when you close and silence
Yeah.
your mind. Then you have clarity of thoughts and words are
Hmm.
popping out so easily. I'm so happy and delighted that you
Right.
enjoyed your residency, and I wish you all the best for the trilogy. I'll be waiting to listen more, and best wishes for
Okay.
your book launch. And of course, you got an entire year to prepare for it, but go easy on it and go easy
Yeah.
on yourself. Enjoy the year.
Okay.
2026 is something, it's going to be memorable for you because of the residency. I wish you all the best. And
Right.
I pray you write more, and we will connect soon. Thank you very much for joining me on this
Okay.
podcast. And Evara means God's gift.
Yes.
Every woman is a gift of God. That is what it means, Evara Voices means.
Hmm.
So much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye bye.
Okay.
Bye
I'll
bye.
talk to you soon.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.